I'm not sure how much how much attention the White House has to this matter, and but I hope someone is briefing them. I'm keeping in touch with members of Congress and letting them know the latest. And so the bottom line is, I don't think the shutdown is likely to be a result of this appearance of 3i Atlas, it's possible that now, after these interviews, that in fact there is indeed some awareness over there in the White House, and so that's all I can say as of now.
Thank you so much.
Would someone else like to ask Dr. Avi Loeb a question?
I'm trying to cook up a question.
Okay.
Actually,
sure.
One quick thing I did see last night. I'm not sure that it's accurate, but there's an image that's been floating around on Reddit of 3i Atlas, and it's showing it in an oblong, like cigar type shape. It's really floating around. What have you seen this image? What's your take on it? It's seeming like people are seeing like a perfectly green, equal size, like rod shape, and it's not really showing a tail. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
Yeah, this is an excellent question, and I was asked about it actually also from the U.S. Congress, and I don't know exactly the exposure time. This is an image from the Perseverance rover. That's the claim, and I don't know it from primary sources. That's what the people who showed the image claim. But if it's real, it could always be fabricated because nowadays there are AI tools that can generate artificial images. If it's real, this elongation could be just the result of smearing by the exposure time of the camera on the Perseverance rover. So an object that would be like a spherical or so in its appearance would be, or even point-like, would be stretched to look like a cylinder, because you integrate over time, and so as the object is moving across the Martian sky, it looks like a cylinder rather than a point. So that if I saw such an elongated feature, that would be my first guess, because you have to ask how long was the integration time, the exposure time, and then could it this elongated image be just the result of that? And of course, the shorter the exposure time is, the less elongation you should get. So that's how you can distinguish quite easily between a real cylinder in the sky that should not change its size depending on the exposure time. Okay, so this is an easy thing to check, because you can also look at the images of neighboring stars. That's even easier. And if the images of the stars near the object are also elongated by the same amount, then you know that it's not nothing to do with the cylindrical shape of the object, because the stars are not supposed to be cylindrical. And so that's a very easy thing. So unfortunately, they show the image without looking, without showing nearby stars.
When we take a look at these crafts that are moving through space, is always a speculation that these could be like type 3 civilizations or type 2. Mm-hmm. What do you say to anyone who's apprehensive of us going out to collect data, that maybe we would get a negative response from whatever's out there?
Yeah, so in terms of the type of civilization, that really depends on the size of the object that is of technological origin from interstellar space. So for example, the 3i Atlas, if it has a mass more than 33 billion tons, just to get it up to speed of 60 kilometers per second that is observed there, it requires a huge amount of energy. You need a very significant engine to power it, and also to maintain activities inside such a huge spacecraft. So that would require something, that is a different class of technological advancement than humanity, definitely type 2 or something. So my recommendation is not to assume anything, just to see what comes our way and then decide. Once we have enough data to make it clear, to everyone that there is no doubt that the object we're looking at is technological, then we can ask, okay, what are the implications as to the senders? What does it mean about their abilities and the fact that they reached us before we reached them, and they have used an engine with a power that is so much greater than anything we can imagine. The biggest rocket that we launched was roughly less than 100 meters in size. So here we're talking about 10 kilometers. It's the difference between a football field and the size of Manhattan Island. It's quite a different size object, and so it's quite possible that that those that reach us are far more advanced than we are, and we can learn from them. But first, we have to clearly detect them, and for that we need scientific quality data from instruments, not eyewitness testimonies. I mean, these are intriguing, but we cannot rely on them.
Well, the angry astronaut, I'm sure you know him. We all love him. He's very angry, and he suggested that yes. He's great. God bless him over in Australia.
Hey, by the way, he might be angry, but is he an astronaut?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm speechless on that. But and I invited him for an angry comment. I'll have to check later. But he did say, I think he touched on you possibly mentioning it, and he mentioned it. Could 3i Atlas in any way be some sort of spacecraft that on the outside it's a meteor or a rock or something, because it has this bizarre green light emanating from it? Would that be outrageous and sci-fi, or is it
No,
possible?
I mean, that's definitely a possibility, because we all know about the story on the city of Troy that accepted a gift that looked like a wooden horse, and obviously that was an existential threat. That was the Trojan Horse, and definitely that is possible, that some alien gadget is masquerading itself with an appearance that looks like a comet or a rock. And the way to figure it out is to see some excess heat coming from it, some unusual maneuver, artificial lights, a radio signal. There are many ways by which we can figure it out. And until we find those signatures, we should assume that if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck. So I'm suggesting using all the instruments at our disposal to search for anomalies. But if they are not there, it's probably a comet.